Hey, what's up 3Ders? 3D Theory here. Today is December 18th, 2024 at 9:40 a.m. and this is vlog number 70. Usually I'll jump right into telling you the temperature and the humidity level, but it looks like the battery's run out. I gotta get a new battery. I'll mention right off the bat that this video is gonna be kind of a hangout video. We're just gonna talk about what's been going on in the tiny 3D print farm over here and all the things that I've been up to. What I've been doing to stay busy. For those of you who follow this channel, you know that I print out plates and latches, and I haven't been needing to print out any recently because I got some left over from the last batch, and all the finished units that I have of my main product, which I don't really get into the details of. I only talk about the plates and latches aspect of it because it's the only thing that we 3D print for the product. I've literally just been packing and delivering the units. And now we're down to one finished packaged product. So soon enough, I'm gonna have to go through the whole process again of readjusting the center bar, as you saw with the drill press that I had, and go back to doing all of those corrections that the manufacturer we ordered one of the parts for had made a mistake with. And basically I'm just gonna be fixing that and moving on with building out more products, packaging them and delivering them. But most of that stuff I do off camera, but for those of you who have been following the channel, that's kind of what's been going on with that main product that we have over here. So over the past 12 days since I've released my last vlog, I've been kind of keeping the health aspect of my life in order. Been going to the Burbank Mountains in California and just doing some hiking. Here's a little clip of me reaching the top there. I used to do this mountain probably 2 or 3 times a week with my cousin, and we used to do it in the peak of summer. And boy, we were doing it. And then right afterwards, we would go to a restaurant and eat massive amounts of food. So it kind of defeated the purpose, but nonetheless, it was fun. It was the first time getting back on top of that mountain in probably a few years. So here's that clip. Too many hours in front of the computer got me a little out of shape, guys. So I came out to the Burbank Mountains, do some hiking. Real beautiful up here. It takes it all out of you. Nonetheless, with deliberate walking, hiking rather, made it up. All right, guys, welcome back. As you can see in that video that I've been kind of trying to keep the health in order. When you sit in front of a computer for too long and don't get things moving, yeah, there's a high potential to get out of shape, and I'm trying to keep and maintain that aspect of my life as well. I remember when I was going to university, one of the teachers said, guys, don't stop living life, even though you're doing the thing that you love, which is for me 3D. I remember him specifically saying, don't stop doing what you love. And I still follow that guy on LinkedIn, and he goes and he builds motorcycles, plays music, all the while working in the visual effects industry. So, you know, major props to him and that advice he gave to the students at the time. So I've been seeing a couple of issues going on with the Bambu Lab A1s, and it's totally my fault. So we do have gardeners that come and work on the garden out there. And usually when they come, I remember to shut this window like that. And I'll obviously take out my fan that I have over there. But this time around, I had left it wide open, and they came with their leaf blowers and blew the yard out there with the leaf blower, and a bunch of dust and debris settled in here, as you can tell. And boy, oh boy, that is not good for 3D printers. It's pretty dirty right there. And so what I noticed had happened was that when I started to turn on these 3D printers after not using them for maybe about a week and a half, they started to smoke up at the nozzle. Both of these down here smoked up pretty bad, particularly this one. This one smoked up really bad from the nozzle. These two, very little, and that one almost, you know, no smoke because I was kind of running them throughout the process. But I had to go in with my microfiber cloth over here and give this entire thing a wipe down, along with my trusty little handheld vacuum right here. I just went in and I cleaned up the guide rails and anything else I could really see, honestly. And that more or less helped with all of that debris. But I think this one in particular, for some reason, was giving me a lot of smoke. And I started using this printer even though it was smoking up. And I was kind of printing out little prototypes that I'll show you here shortly. And overall it was printing good, but I was getting little failures along the way. So I'm gonna show you a little clip here of it smoking up. As you can see there's a lot of smoke coming up out of the nozzle. And then here's another clip of me printing out my traditional animation desk pen cup for my Etsy shop. And then me printing out an upgraded stealth French side table that I'll be getting into later in this video. And as you can see there, it was pretty much failing. So these errors started to occur more and more, particularly with that one there, even though that one had an error in the beginning, but it later on printed out pretty well. And yesterday, as I was printing out another one of these traditional animation desk pen cups, as you can see in this video here, it was a mess. I just got some spaghetti from it. And I sat there troubleshooting it for a while and declogging the nozzle and trying out different filaments, and it was still giving me a lot of issues. So what I ended up doing was just switching out the nozzle with another nozzle that I had purchased from Bambu Lab, and that seemed to have fixed the issue. And I think what ended up happening and causing those clicks that you saw in that little video was that maybe there was some carbon buildup in the nozzle. All this debris, the dirt and dust, probably somehow got in there. It probably had rested on the filament and probably somewhere in the tool head and just burned it, and just a bunch of carbon had built up in that small little nozzle, and after a certain point it just couldn't handle it anymore. So I ended up switching it out, and it's printing out good now. And this was a little test print I did yesterday to make sure everything's fine, and it was good. No more clicking, and it was extruding just fine. Can't forget to get some coffee. No better way to reset. That's nice. So ever since I got that FlexiSpot C7 Pro Max chair, I've been inspired to make some new products, and well, I'd say probably upgraded versions of some of the older products that I have in different iterations as well. And this is mainly for my Etsy shop, and I'll be showing you some of that. But before I do that, I do want to get this place back in order because, as you guys know, I've been doing some 3D product design engineering work for some people who had reached out to me. And so while I was working on that, I'd jump in here, do some 3D prints, and not really paying attention to all the, buildup of stuff that I had, trying out different filaments and whatnot. We got a lot sitting outside of bags, and I've run out of bags. And I'm gonna be using some Ziploc bags to throw those spools of filament that have no bags anymore. And as you know, I keep my desiccants that come with my new filament, and that'll help with keeping these filaments fresh. So once that's done, I'll see you back here to show you some of those new products that I was working on, one of them of which was not really a success, but the other ones were, and they're pretty exciting, and I'm excited to show you. And also there are some Etsy updates that I'm really excited to talk about. Once this place is back in order, I will see you back here. All right, guys, and we are back. I had to clean up this place. It was getting way too dirty, too messy for a 3D print farm, a tiny one at that. But as you can see here, we got some new things we're going to be talking about, as well as over here. But before we get into that, for those of you who are new to the channel, this is my tiny 3D print farm of 5 Bambu Lab A1 3D printers, where I print out a set of plates and latches like I showed you earlier in this video. And they attach to a larger product that I don't really talk about because it's not 3D printed. And those plates and latches are the only parts that are 3D printed on that product. But nonetheless, I use this AMS light to use the auto refill function. At least that's what I got it for in the beginning. And once the spool is nearly empty and can't finish a plate or a latch on its own, I move it over to the AMS so that I have 4 near empty spools of filament that will finish off a plate or a latch. Over here, we have all the stuff that's available on my Maker World for free. The link is in the description, as well as the stealth French side table over there we're going to be talking about. But over here we have green from Rainbow Friends, a few thrones for your phone from Star Wars. That's the Sith throne, Vader's throne, Bo-Katan's throne. And they also tilt, the backs tilt so you can have your phone tilt any which way. This is kind of a makeshift phone here so you can see what it does. We have Lightyear's laser blade from the Pixar film, and a cool little set of characters here. We got Master Multitasker. We have Santa Hat with legs that sits down, and you can hide his legs like that, as well as just a little fidget little screw toy. All this stuff's available on my Maker World for free, and let's jump on over to what we've been working on. So as you can see here, we got some Santa hats, and now we have an elf hat. And these are updated versions of what you saw right here. This is the Santa hat with legs, and this can only sit down. So I figured I'm gonna try to make this as I'm updating this, and I'll show you all the things that I did. I'm gonna also try to make it stand. So I was successful in making it stand, and I'll show you what we did. All right, guys, so I went ahead and I did several iterations. This one is the Santa hat with legs iteration, as well as this is the elf hat with legs. And the main difference is that it has these little pointy shoes with the smaller little bulb up here. But what happened with these were that the little points were getting stuck to the top part over here, and that was an issue. These were not able to stand, and so I was trying to make both of them stand, and this first iteration was unable to do that. Then I went ahead and did a second iteration where it still wasn't able to stand, and that was the main thing I really wanted it to do. I also fixed the pointy shoes here so that they were able to print out fine, but again, they're still not able to stand. So then on my third iteration, which were these here, actually, these are the main goal I had, which are printing them out in color using the AMS, and they have the red pants with the black boots that have the white trim around it, and these were able to stand. And same with the elf hat with legs. They have the multicolored socks with the green pants up there, the pointy boots, and this too was able to stand. So let me show you here. These are the new versions, and these are gonna be available on my Etsy shop, and I'm gonna be taking pictures of them today so we can throw them on there. And I'll actually show you my picture taking process as well. So these are just in the nick of time for the holidays. So if you guys are interested, the link's in the description below. But I do want to give you a heads up now, and you got to loosen up the legs. So I just grab a little flathead screwdriver and I stick it in there and just kind of go on all the sides, front, back, left, and right. And that should definitely loosen it up so that they come out. And once they're loosened up, you can sit them down. The standing version is going to be limited to the colored versions that you could find on my Etsy shop, but then you have the same thing, which you have to loosen these up as well, just like I did with the red one just there. This is the elf version. So this will also be available on my Make World for free, these two, and you could print them out and have fun. All right, guys, and next in line, we have these peppermint twist jars that I really had high hopes for, but ended up failing. And I got to figure out what's wrong with them. But basically, this was my first iteration of it. I kind of have an understanding of what's wrong with it, but these are printed out on the AMS. The top lid was too thin, so it would just easily come apart like that. So I decided to make it a little bigger as to make the top lid a little thicker, but again, they weren't really holding up. But the point of this was, these are some of my favorite things during the time of Christmas and the holidays, these little peppermint twists. And the goal of this was that you would just pop these in there, and you could just pop them in, you know, anywhere, let's say on your coffee table or whatever, on your table. And if whenever people wanted one, they could just open it and grab one, and it looks like little peppermint twist candy. But the issue with these were that this bottom part was having such a hard time printing out. This one actually was able to, but as you can tell, the print quality was not great. And I honestly don't know if I just needed some more supports down here because it's such a small little dip that goes in there, much like the candy does. But I still had to do some, you know, prototyping with this and develop it further. And I kind of ran out of filament. It used up so much filament to get this printed out, and I just couldn't get myself to use any more filament for something like this. So maybe this is just gonna have to stay in the back burner or as a project for a future time. So that was a failed project, but something that I was working on. And next in line for our Etsy shop, we have a couple of different iterations of the traditional animation desk pen cup. Now this is the pen cup version, and I haven't finished building it out yet. This is actually for a customer. They just had purchased it on Etsy today. So I'm gonna go ahead and be shipping that out pretty soon. And I'm gonna show you what I do to ship that out and how I package it and whatnot. But these have been selling quite well. I turned on Etsy ads with a $2 daily spend. And since I've turned them on, I've gotten about 4 sales, because it's been about 4 days since I've had them on. So maybe 1 sale a day, which is really nice. These are selling pretty consistently. I've run out of this brown filament, and so has the company I got it from on Amazon. So I gotta look for some brown filament. I found some options, but still I gotta test them out and see if I like the colors. I came up with a couple of iterations I'm gonna throw up on Etsy. This one for sure I'm gonna throw up on Etsy. It's just the collector's item version of the traditional animation desk. It has no pen cup or nothing of that sort. It's just the table in and of itself for the collectors who like to just have animation memorabilia. And that is gonna be available on my Etsy shop pretty soon. And then I have the phone holder version where I've extended this section here to be able to hold phones. So here's a makeshift phone. You would essentially just put it like that or like that, and it holds your phone. And this will be the next version that's available on my Etsy shop. We're gonna take some photos of all this stuff today and pop them on there. If you guys are interested, the link's in the description below. All right, guys, and next up, you are pretty much probably familiar with this. It's on my Maker World. It's the Stealth Geometric French Side Table. It could also be considered low poly. This is like a low poly French side table. And this was created so that it'll be able to fit on the Bambu Lab A1s. So I don't know if it's easy to tell, but this is actually quite small. This little plate actually fits on this, and so do all the other parts. To give you a little bit of scale, this is the razor handle that you could print out that comes with Bambu Labs, and this is how big it is. If I were to stand it up next to it, that's how big that is. So this is definitely not a full-size table. It can potentially fit a phone on there, and it pretty much takes up the entire space. I personally like to keep this, let's say, in the bathroom or something like that, but a lot of people on Maker World were asking for a dovetailed jointed version that's full size. And to give you an idea of what full size looks like, there it is. So this is the inspiration for this little table I have made. I've seen these tables around all throughout my life at family members' houses or at our house, grandparents' house. For some reason, our family liked this sort of table. And I always thought they were pretty cool. And I just wanted one that was, geometric, low poly. I call it stealth because it has those angular looks. And so what I did was I ended up scaling this up, making dovetailed joints, and I'll show you that right now. So here is that full-size version now. As you can tell, it's a little hard to get these to fit right, but nonetheless, it still acts as a table. I was able to put a cup on there, and it's actually just a tad bit taller than the real version, maybe even just a little bit bigger. And this is definitely solid. It prints out in multiple pieces. I ended up using some epoxy to be able to bond these together. And this file is available on my Maker World for free download. And these little pizza slices, the little cutouts that I made, fit on the Bambu Lab A1 build plate, as well as this neck, and then it's cut in half to this from this point down. There's this piece here, and then these three pieces. So there's multiple plates that's available. Just one thing to note though, when you're printing out the legs, make sure on your support angle, you go up to 60 degrees. And I mentioned that in the description of the Maker World profile for this thing. So if you guys are interested, this is free to download, print, and have fun from my Maker World, linked in the description below. All right, guys, so now I'm gonna go ahead and begin fulfilling this Etsy order. And I just wanna mention that I used to offer PETG filament that was 3D Theory branded, but I'm not offering that anymore. The sales were kind of slow on that. And the idea behind it is I'm putting stuff up my Etsy shop and see what has the most interest. And then I take that and I make iterations of it and keep that on the Etsy shop. So I had two things that were selling on my Etsy shop, which was the filament and this animation desk. And the filament sold maybe a couple of orders, but this was selling pretty well for the time frame that it was being advertised for, which was about 4 or 5 days. I was getting about one sale a day. And this was, today, yesterday, the day before that, and so on. And so now I'm gonna be offering the animation desk pen cup with those different iterations over there. And I'm going to show you what I do in my packing process for when I need to ship out an order after a sale. All right, guys, so first things first, I take it off the build plate and there's a little bit of supports that come out super easy. I just grab it and I twist it off. There's support number one. Likewise with this side, grab it, twist it, take it off, and that is ready to go. I'm really happy with how this came out. Sometimes there's a little bit of filament that I just like to take off and a little bit of stringing that I'd like to clean up, but overall this print came out pretty well. I usually get one string over here, so I just go ahead and I grab my little snippers over here and I snip that right off like that. And that's about it. So that's real minimal in terms of cleanup work. Then I begin building out the rest of the parts. All right, guys, so the first thing that I put on are the shelves here. So we have a couple of loose shelves that go on the very bottom. So I just line that up like that and push it in. And I do the same for the other side. I just grab that piece, line it up, and push it in. Just like that, and it's a nice snug fit. All right, guys, so next I grab the other tier and I just work it in there like that and just pop it in. It's nice and snug. Likewise for the next tier above that, I just pop that in and it fits real snug and nicely. Next, once that's done, I go ahead and I start building out the smaller parts. We have the animation disc with the little plexiglass that goes on there. The plexiglass in real life, but this is all 3D printed. And that just fits right in there just like that. We have the drawer units and I grab its subsequent handle and I pop it right in just like that. And there's the second one. And then there's a drawer unit that goes above that drawer unit and I pop in the handle for that as well, just like that. And the same goes for this one. Pop that in. And there's a drawer unit that goes above that, but we do this in a slightly different way and I'll show you that in a second. And they have a little bit smaller handles as you can see. All right, guys, and the next thing I put in are the drawers here. And I just stick it in on one side and pop it in just like that, as you can see. And I made it like this so you can actually see the little line that goes around the drawer, so it actually looks like a drawer. I did it all in one piece before, but it didn't really look right. So this actually gives it that look that it's a drawer that can come in and out. So the same thing for the top drawer. I just pop that in like that. And then I do the same, just pop that drawer in as well, just like that. And that's nice and snug in there. Now for these, I pop in the drawer without the handle up here, just like that. And likewise with this one. Then I grab my glue, and as you can see, I just take a little bit out of there, just about that much. And I pop it in there, very little. And then I grab about the same and pop it in on this side. Then I close up the glue. Then using some tweezers here, I grab that and I just pop it in, just like that. That will dry out and hold its place. Likewise, I'll grab these with the tweezer and pop that in there, just like that. And there you have it. The drawers are in place and the handles are all in place. Then I grab my glue again and I generously spread in the center over here, just like that. Then I make sure that hole, as best I can, I try to center it up so that it's as straight as I possibly can get it. Then I grab my clamp and I gently clamp it into place and leave it like that for about 5 minutes for the glue to dry, and that product's done. All right, guys, now while this is drying out, I start preparing the box. And I have a 10 by 8 by 6 box that I bought for when I was shipping out other units. And this is slightly bigger than what I would like to be using. But since I have these in stock, I figured I'll just make use of them until I need to buy more boxes. So this is the box that I'm working with. I just begin building out the box, grab my trusty tape over here on this tape dispenser. And I like to take a little bit out and get it started by hand over here. So I keep this shut. I try to do it as neat and professional as possible. And I get it started like that. Then I just simply drag it across, press down, and there you have it. That's nicely taped and ready to pack. Now for packaging material, I like to use builder's paper that you could just get from Home Depot. It's really solid paper, it's inexpensive, and it really does a good job in protecting whatever you got in there. So I like to cut a piece about this size in half. And I grab it, crumple it up, grab this, crumple it up like that, and that's ready for the product to go in. Now this is ready for the clamp to come off. The animation disc is on there, and this is all ready to go. Now what I like to do first is I like to wrap it in this bag to prevent any moisture from getting in. So So I just slide it in there as neatly and as professionally as I can possibly get it. And I take off this little strip here, which exposes the adhesive, and I seal it. I think these are called poly bags, if I'm not mistaken. I like to take the air out of there, flip this around, and grab my little smaller tape dispenser and tape it like that. Now these little bubble wraps came with all of my new filament, so I just kept them, and for as long as I have them, I'm gonna use it for this product, but I am running out. I have maybe like 10 more, but I pop it in here for a little bit of extra protection, and I've shipped it out without these bubble wraps, but since I have them, might as well just use them. And then I flip that over, and likewise, I grab a piece of tape, pop that on there, flip that around, grab another piece of tape, pop that on there, and that's ready to go into the box. All right, so I got my box. I place the product in the center, loosen up these flaps a little bit. Now, I like to add a little gift, and that is a 3D Theory keychain, and I pop it in its own little bag here. Take off the strip, close that up just like that. And I got my 3D Theory logo printed out on some of the packaging slips that I use. So it's adhesive, and I use my cutter to cut them out just like that. And I did create little guides for me, so when I cut them, I know where to cut. And this side's a little bit small, so I'll just use scissors. And I do this because I feel like it gives it a more premium feel. I want all these products that I sell to have a real premium feel. And I cannot, for the life of me, get under these with my fingers, so I end up using a plastic razor to get under the sticker just like that. And I try to place it as center as I can on here. And I pop it on just like that. And this goes into the box. All right, I'm gonna grab my box, put that little gift in there, just like that. And I'm gonna grab some more builder's paper over here, cut a few more pieces off. And by the way, these come in giant rolls. It's just this one's kind of running out, so that's why it looks so small. And I put one on the side there. Here, as well as on this side. Grab a little more for the front. Just like that. And I like to add a little thank you note. And this says, 3D Theory here. Thank you so much for your purchase. We truly appreciate your support and are thrilled to have you as part of our community. Your interest in our products means the world to us. As a small token of our gratitude, we've included a 3D Theory keychain in your package. We hope it adds a little joy to your day. We're excited to continue bringing you delightful creations and hope to serve you again soon. And so if you guys are familiar with when I opened up the Alienware computer, that thank you note really made me feel good. And I wanted to add a note that's in the same vein. So then I just pop that up there, just on top like that. And I finish off the packaging with a couple of more pieces of paper. And that is ready to seal up. Again, I grab my large tape dispenser, get it started with my hand, and try to get it as straight as possible. And there you have it. That's ready to go. I throw on a Handle with Care Fragile sticker on there. I pop that off. And I just stick it on the side there. And then I get my packaging slip and I put it there. But before I do that, I want to know how much this thing weighs for sure. It's about 1 pound, 1 ounce. Usually it's just under 1 pound, 1 ounce. So I'm just going to pop that on there. And as you can see here, it's just 1 pound exactly. I like to throw it on there again, 1 pound, 0.1 ounce. And that's perfect. I'll put all the information in Etsy, get my slip, and ship this thing out today. All right guys, and now I want to take some pictures of these products as well as these products over here. And I usually just like to take pictures right here. So I'm going to clear off this space, take some pictures of those so that by the time I release this video, those will also be up on my Etsy shop. All right guys, and as for lighting, I got my big bulb here. It's like a little, what is it? An Amaran 60DS with this giant bulb diffuse light, which I use for filming as well. But I brought it real close so that I can start taking pictures. I'm gonna take a picture head on like that, sideways like that, and then also seated as best I can on the side. I'm gonna do one that's like standing, sideways standing. Now I'm gonna show the bottom side as best I can as well. I haven't quite figured out how I'm gonna do that part, but maybe I could bring it off to the edge over here and kind of show it from a bottom angle like this, and people can see that there are some red pants there, different colors on the bottom, and so on and so forth. And I'll be doing the same for the elf, and I'm pretty much gonna follow the types of pictures I took for this with the pen cup version that I already have on my Etsy shop, so you can see that. And I'm gonna go ahead and take those pictures now. All right, guys, that about does it for today's video. There was a myriad of things that we covered today, but I feel like it was a fun hangout session in the tiny 3D print farm of 5 Bambu Lab A1 3D printers. If you guys are interested in any of those things that you saw today, check out both links to my Make World and the Etsy shop. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, peace, love, and joy.